Hey there, this is Beth, and we're talking about ancestors again. This week is a few easy ways to honor them. And I was raised Lutheran. I grew up Lutheran, marginally Lutheran, let's just put it that way. Didn't attend church often until we moved to Salt Lake. That's when Mom became afraid that somehow I would become a Mormon. No offense to Mormons, but it was just, Salt Lake was weird back in the 80s. When I left, it was less weird, but it's Salt Lake. It's an interesting place to live. Very beautiful, very interesting at times, especially as a non-Mormon child growing up in the 80s. So we went to church starting when I was like in junior high regularly, and at that point in time I'd been like, I pretty much stopped identifying as a Christian when I was like 13. So I declared myself agnostic at one point during that time period, and I just really wanted to grow up and be a witch, and I did. So very much was interested in the occult. But Lutherans, ancestors, that's Papist. Yes. Yeah, no. He didn't do that kind of stuff. There was no ancestor honoring really at all. You just don't do that because that was Papist. Back in the day, and when Martin Luther nailed his theses to the door of the church, of the cathedral, there was rebellion against that. And it's kind of interesting. It makes sense that the Reformation started up north because they had not been Christianized as long as the southern parts of Europe. It was really 1100 somewhere where northern Europe started to get actually Christianized, where it was established quite well. And then not too long after that, you have the whole thing fly apart with the Reformation and Martin Luther railing out against the injustices and indulgences and all sorts of crazy things that were going down in the medieval church at that point in time. Medieval church is kind of interesting, especially the schism and the area of the Reformation and 30 Years' War, that kind of stuff. Fascinating stuff. It really helps you understand, especially if you're like someplace like, say, the U.S. that is built on Puritan ideals of understanding how your culture works. But being raised Lutheran, we didn't do stuff with ancestors. We didn't have shrines. You didn't have any of that kind of stuff. Right? Lutherans are nowhere near as like hardcore as some of them were at that point in time when it was first founded. But yeah, things like shrines, things like he didn't have this. There was no light on a candle to the Virgin. Really, you just didn't do that stuff. So I grew up without this concept in my life. And if you don't have that concept in your life, and then you come to some form of desire to work with ancestors, it can feel a little bit floundery. So easy ways to honor them: offerings. If, say, your grandma, your grandpa, whomever, who's already deceased, you can go leave offerings at the grave. And we do see this within the forms of flowers, things like that. But this time of year, if you want to, you can go leave offerings, or you can create an area, a space within your house or outside that you leave offerings to. Where's that? You don't necessarily have to do this inside. Not everyone has space to do things inside. You can go. You have a favorite tree in a park? You can leave flower offerings there. I wouldn't leave anything that's too garbagey. But yeah, like you can leave some easily missed offerings. Not everyone pays too much attention. You have someplace tucked away that you like to go. How can you leave an offering there? Even if it's just an energetic offering. A thought, a prayer, a kind thought. That's powerful too. So offerings. Whether it's a formal offering of, I don't know. Uncle Bob loved coffee. So you set out a cup of coffee for Uncle Bob. Aunt Janie liked gin, so Aunt Janie gets a little tumbler of gin. Tea, cakes, pomegranates, apples come to mind too. Fall fruits. So anything like that. Sprigs of, say, sumac berries. They're so pretty. There was a sumac tree in town this year that had so many berries on it, sumac berries. I've never seen so many sumac berries on a tree that size. And it's not even a very big tree. A ton of them. Every branch had just huge amount. There's things like that. Branches of leaves. Whatever says offering to you. Look at it that way. It doesn't have to be whatever says. What says offering to you for this ancestor, for that ancestor? What speaks to you for those? Creating an ancestral altar or shrine can be a good way to get in touch with them. I used to have a small altar set up to the ancestors that had pictures of people who were now dead and were well loved in life. So, yeah. And that's an example of working with recent ancestors, of being able to honor them by having that little altar, and it reminds you about them, and you think good thoughts about them. You can connect through crystal grids if you want to go deeper, if you want to create this connection and bring in a consistent flow of ancestor energy for whatever reason, and create a specific purpose, whether it's healing, say, ancestral money issues, or other things like that, health issues that are passed down through the genetics. You could set up a crystal grid to help you create a consistent flow of healing, for one example, or just a consistent flow of connection. Rituals, another good one. If you want to get in contact with someone, you can perform a ritual and ask for whether it's some form of heritage, ancestor, if you're part of a lineage, some form of magical lineage, you can ask for someone from there or your country. Play around with that, though, and see where ritual can take you in connecting with those. Who comes to you can be quite surprising and kind of interesting to work with. You do want to be selective. I'm going to stress this again because it's really important, especially working with ancestors, because some of them have their own agenda. They may not have your highest good or your agenda in mind. They may have, like, they want to do this. So pay attention to what they want, and if they have your highest good, and everyone's highest good in mind. Those are the people you want to work with. The people who are like, yeah, we want to create an awesome life for you and heal our ancestral stuff and teach you and have you learn. Those are the people you want to work with, not the ones who are like, yeah, we got this really good idea, we should do this. Yeah, this is my agenda, and you will help me implement it. Yeah. And it's just two guides, too. You don't have to work with, so you're not feeling a guide. You don't have to work with that guide. You don't have to say yes to every creature, entity, or ancestor that says, hey, want to work with me? You'd be like, I'll pass on you. So ritual can be a really powerful way to bring that in. That's how I got one of my Norse dudes, was working in ritual and asking for heritage from my Scandinavian heritage. I have Norway. Is it Holland or I think it's Holland? Norway, Holland, German on mom's side. We're insanely northern. So we have a lot of Scandinavian and Germanic blood in us. We're from Minnesota. Scandinavian settled there hardcore, so not surprising. I'm not sure what Dad's side is. Dad's side is more complicated, so no one really talked about it. And I'm not sure what Irving is, and I'm pretty sure Staley is probably English, which is his bio dad. But see, we didn't know he was bio dad until he died. I was like 19 or 20 when Staley died. I don't remember his first No, it's Dudley. I think Dudley. Yeah, because that was Dad's name. He was named after him. So yeah. So and he was an alcoholic. I know that. He was not a nice person, so I'm not going to be working with that dude on the Staley side. That's for frickin' sure. You know, you have someone who you know is a problematic person, you don't have to work with them. You can, if you desire to, you can still honor them, but you know, there's a difference between honoring too and working with. There's a difference between saying like, I honor the people who created me and gave me their genetics and gave me the life I have. If you want to, they may not feel worth honoring to you. They may be very triggering. So pay attention to how you feel too on those ancestors who aren't so cool. They're out there. But yeah, Dad's side's more problematic because up until I was like 1920, Bedbury, which is my dad's adopted father's last name, well, that's who we I thought was like Bio Grandpa, and it turned out not to be Bio Grandpa. Weird things that don't get said in families. And yeah, just weird things. So I have like this whole side of kind of a question mark. Staley definitely sounds English to me, but I could be wrong. Okay, so there's aspects to explore, and like if you don't know those things, that's where things like ritual and journey work can really help you explore it on a spiritual level, instead of working through ancestral trees and things like that, which you can also do too, the regular everyday stuff of tracking down family trees, things like that. So, that's one way. If you want to go direct route, you can also go a spiritual route. If you don't want to, or have the context, if you don't have the names of the people, you can't do much to find them in a database. And that's where things doing spiritual work and journey work can help you make contact with ancestors and work with them. So, okay. Everyone have a wonderful day. And, before I forget, tomorrow is the Journey to the Hall of the Ancestors, October 31st at 6 p.m. So hope to see you there. If you want the deets, just the links below. Hope to see you there, and have a wonderful, wonderful Halloween. Happy Samhain. And yeah, go out there and be the love in the world. Bye-bye.